All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Landed for Success, members, community. I just want to say hello and thank you for dropping by this afternoon. I have a very special guest with me, and I want to make sure that we keep this conversation really informal, if that's okay with everyone. And by the way, if you are here, and perhaps you may even be watching a Facebook Live interview here on Landed for Success for the very first time yourself. If you're here for the very first time, could you do me a huge favor? Maybe in the comment below, just type number 1 in the comments so we can acknowledge you for being here for the first time. And if you're open to it, maybe even write your name and the city you're from, because what's really neat is we're growing now on a global, just not just locally here, but locally, nationally, and internationally. It's so amazing to see that we have members shown up in Singapore and Hong Kong and the U.S. and Australia and Dubai. So we have such an amazing global community now. So if you feel comfortable, please type in your name and the city you're from. And yeah, we want to acknowledge you for being here. So let's jump right into this. I have a very special guest here today. This individual I have a lot of respect for because she is in the mortgage industry. So really the mortgage real estate industry, and that's something that I have a tremendous amount of passion for. So for those of you who are watching and you're thinking, hey, I like to buy my first home, or I like to use real estate perhaps as an investment for growing your investment portfolio, I can't think of a better person right now than Lakshika, who is a mortgage advisor from CIBC, to share with you a little bit about what's happening in the marketplace. And by the way, we have an event coming up on November 24th. It's a Wednesday night live in-person event. There's about 100 business owners, entrepreneurs that'll be there. So please come and join us. And because Lakshika was kind enough to be one of our sponsors, this is the reason why we were able to make the tickets available for you to come as a guest. And you can grab a complimentary ticket today because of her sponsorship. So there is a link here. I really highly recommend that you go click on the link, register, get your ticket. Thank Lakshika for her sponsorship, because otherwise this would not be happening. We'd probably be charging you $100 or $200 per ticket just to come to this Meet, Learn, and Networking event. So anyways, without further ado, please help me to welcome my special guest today, Lakshika. Welcome.
Hi, Gordon. How are you?
I am well. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
Yeah, and again, on behalf of JJ Icantham, my business partner, co-founder here at Landed for Success, I want to thank you so much for being a sponsor at our next networking event. And the question I want to ask you before we even get into, I know some folks are thinking, okay, how do I get the best mortgage financing? How do I invest and grow wealth in real estate? This event coming up, it's a live event. Because of the pandemic, I know a lot of individuals have not been to live events. How has the pandemic affected you, your business in any way up until now?
You know what? The pandemic has affected a lot of people negatively, but for the mortgage industry, it actually has have a positive turnaround, I guess, because Bank of Canada has, lowered the rate so much that a lot of people are getting into the housing industry. Yes, it does drive the prices high, but at the same time, the mortgage rates are the lowest it's ever been. So for that fact that the pandemic actually has done good for the mortgage
that's amazing.
industry.
Lakshika, well, I am going to be, as you're talking, if it's okay with you, I'm going to be sharing this to a couple of our social media platforms and inviting a few of our Landed for Success friends to come and join us. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, because we know, again, the pandemic has, not that we want to dwell on it and talk about it too much, but it has affected a lot of people's businesses, their mindsets, their bank accounts, and so many different things. But yet you're saying this adversity has actually done the reverse for the mortgage industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has. I mean, yes, there's people who's, lost their jobs, but there's still people who, can still afford it. And so
Okay.
at least CIBC's policy is that, if year 2020, your income
Mhm.
was not that greatest, we
Okay.
actually take the average of 2018, 2019, and 2020.
Wait a minute.
So
Let's back up for a minute.
yeah, if you're
Everyone says that
self-employed, that is. So
if you're self-employed
yeah, if you're
and you didn't have a
self-employed,
good year because of the pandemic,
so we add an extra year to it, take an average. So usually when you're self-employed, we take 2019 and 2020 average, so the last 2 years. But if your business is affected, then
yes.
the bank is considering taking a 3-year average in that point.
Now, call me skeptical for a minute. They always say the banks are heartless. And yet here I'm talking to you, you're with the bank, and
Yeah,
you're telling me that despite of, I know what it's like to be an entrepreneur. There's other business
yeah.
owners out there. We have good times and bad times.
Hmm.
So despite of, even if there are businesses that didn't have as much income last year,
Hmm. Yep, yep. The bank is taking 3-year average, just to kind of make up for it, because the bank does understand, it's the pandemic. It's
yes,
obviously everybody is affected by it. So that's why the rule of thumb is that we take 3-year average in order to calculate your income to see if you're eligible for a mortgage. Now, sometimes it does come case by case, but
yes,
I just want to put it out there, Gordon, that, like you said, when we think of banks, we think of, they're like the above and, they're heartless and whatever not. But, the bank is not necessarily not like that, right? They do have, if you give them a valid enough reason for example, if you missed a payment, right? But you
yes.
have a good, like, a good explanation. The bank does oversee that. So
Wow.
it's not like, we get the file and then it's a straight decline. There's always room for explanation. And if that
Can you give me an
explanation,
example? Can you give me an example of,
yeah, like for example, when I said, if you missed a payment,
yes,
right? And it's 30 days or 60 days late, and you have a valid reason, for example, you fell sick, or some people actually pay the wrong account when they're on online billing, I mean online banking, and they've and you provide proof, then we will overlook that. So it's
wow,
not like the bank is like a straight decline. They're
that's
not as
amazing.
they're not heartless. we
Yeah.
we do understand.
Well, that's amazing. I want to welcome Ian Webb, who is also a member here at Land for Success. Welcome, Ian. And Ian is actually a real estate investor as well,
Okay.
Lakshika. So, Ian, I know you're out on the West Coast, but connect with Lakshikas. You just never know, right? What
Yeah.
could happen.
Yeah,
Um,
because with CIBC we can do mortgages anywhere, right? So it's not just Ontario. We do in BC, we do in Quebec. It's everywhere.
well, that's amazing. Well, I want to back up for a minute. So, we know you're an advisor with CIBC.
Hmm.
Normally, I'm going to put you on the spot because normally my interviews is with a mortgage broker.
Yep.
And then the mortgage broker would say, here's the reasons why you should do business with a mortgage broker versus a bank. So today I get to reverse that role. I've reversed that now and say, well, Lakshika, how would you respond to that when someone says you should do business with a mortgage broker versus a bank?
Yeah.
So go
I
ahead.
mean, yes, with the broker, you do have access to many lenders. I do understand that, and I do respect that.
Okay.
But not every single lender has all the products that an A lender would offer, right?
Okay.
So you can go with certain types of lenders where they don't offer the home equity line of credit, or they have special terms, or they could have like low interest rate, but they don't have access to, sometimes people are not able to make mortgage payments. With the A lender
Okay.
banks, there is room to defer a certain amount of payments. But with other lenders that the broker has, they don't have such options. So in that case, you're paying a penalty. So there are a lot of benefits with just going with one of the 5 major banks. The interest rates, of course, are very competitive. The terms are different, and just the whole products that we can offer, right? I mean, yes, each lender has his own products, but CIBC has its own products as well that could be very beneficial. And just I'm not saying that the lenders that the broker has are not trustworthy or anything, but just having a mortgage with one of the 5 major banks, it's just that brand behind you, right? I mean, CIBC, how long have they been around for? Forever.
Forever, right?
Everybody knows CIBC. So it's just that trust, I believe. And a lot of people, to be honest, like if you ask someone, who do you want your mortgage with? They would rather say they would have it with one of the five
one of the 5 major banks, right?
Right. And then the second opinion is, to go with like a B lender or whatever not. But usually everybody wants to go with one of the 5 major banks.
Yes. Now, Lakshika, I know you and I had chatted offline before, and you have programs for newcomers to Canada. You have programs for people who have had high net worths and so on, whether they're buying a home or a condo. I know that. And I know that CIBC has really good products, and you have done extremely well in the last year in the mortgage industry. I want to find out a little bit more about you, though.
Okay.
Were you always in the mortgage real estate industry, or is this the field you started out in, or?
No. So my background, I have my degree in psychology and HR.
Psychology,
actually.
HR.
Yeah. So in the last 10 years, I've been in the social service field. So I worked for a nonprofit.
Social services.
Yes. Completely different. I worked in a nonprofit organization. I worked with people that have an intellectual disability, and I worked in the Employment Resource Center. So I supported these individuals to find jobs within the community. So that's kind of where my background is. Mortgages, I only started in summer of 2020 while I was on mat leave. So it's kind of, how did I switch such, complete different fields? To be honest, it's one of my friends who said, why don't you try, this mortgage industry, since because I excel in sales, just through my past career. So even if it was working in a nonprofit, I was still going out there and finding employers. So we had a target to meet, and I always excelled in that. So I had a friend who said, why don't you try the mortgage industry? Because, she got into it. So I was kind of iffing and eyeing, and, but I did the course. I did the mortgage agent course, and I loved it. And I really loved it. So I actually started off in the broker world. And then switched
so you were a mortgage broker first.
Yeah, a mortgage agent working for a broker.
Like for a independent broker?
Yeah.
First, okay.
Yeah. So, and then to be honest, I didn't have much success working as a mortgage agent in the broker world. I guess just starting off, I needed that brand behind me, and that's why I chose to go with CIBC. And it was day and night for me.
Good.
So I guess starting off, and you're saying that, I work for CIBC, you need to build your clientele, right? So building that clientele, I think CIBC really helped me out. So that's kind of
you have to do what works for you, right? You have to do what works for you.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And if that brand gave you the opportunity to be able to generate business that trust from clients, it's amazing. Did you find that it did? What were the benefits for you then when you made the switch from being working independent broker to, let's say, CIBC?
Just to have that bank behind you is just to say that I represent CIBC. Right. And I'm proud to say I represent CIBC because they're such a great bank. They have such great products, and they're an awesome employer. Awesome employer. So I'm glad that I switched over.
Amazing. Now, so you were in social services. How long would you do in social services for?
10 years.
10 years. Okay.
10 years. Yep.
And what did you love best about when you were there?
So helping people. I mean, it was people who have a disability, right? So
Yes.
it's not the easiest job. It's not the easiest job. Everybody is different. Everybody has different needs.
Yes.
And, when it comes to people who have an intellectual disability, every individual is different. Everyone, they have different needs. So working in the employment field, we find their capabilities
Okay.
and we make sure that, we represent that to the employer. So
Wow.
that's the best part about it. Like, I liked going out in the community, finding employers, making that business connection. And, you're basically selling this person, saying that, they're able to do the job.
Yeah,
So,
you're advocating for the individual as
mhm,
well, right? What
yeah.
when you say disabilities, could you give me would you mind maybe sharing like what are you able to share like what type of disabilities?
Yeah, so like autism, Down
Okay.
syndrome. So they're
Okay.
intellectual disabilities, yeah.
Wow. If you ever get a chance, we'll talk about it another time. Check out a Facebook page called Powered by an Extra Chromosome,
Okay, okay.
right? So in terms of Down syndrome, so one of the things
Yeah.
I love, as you know, is um, being able to help people, just like you in the social services industry.
Hmm.
Mine is through social media and business. And so this young man, um, today's Remembrance Day, and by the way, thank you for all the men and women who served. Thank you so much for your service. So a friend of mine, he served in his early days. So you can imagine being an army guy when his son was born. Lakshika, he was told that his son had Down syndrome.
Hmm.
And he says, there's no way my kid could have Down syndrome. Right? So that initial self-denial. And then he turned to a bottle because he just could not believe
Hmm.
that was his son. And anyways, make a long story short, he did eventually, 6 months later, he broke free from, his drinking problem. And his son was told that he would never have muscle tone, right? And all kinds of problems. He had heart problems, he had cancer problems as a baby. Make a long story short, his son has won more medals for swimming and skating and you name it in the Special Olympics than
That's awesome.
anyone that I know, right? So
That is
powered by an extra
awesome.
chromosome. Yeah.
Yeah, we always think that, people with a disability, um, the community frowns upon them, right? But that's not the
Yes.
case. They're
Yeah.
they're capable just like anybody else. And
Very productive, aren't they?
yeah, just from like my experience, I worked there for 10 years. They're wonderful, skilled individuals.
Wow. Well, we have a book. I know we're sidetracking that. It's a children's book, and it's about I think it's a 10-year-old who absolutely loves hockey and has autism.
Hmm.
It's a wonderful story that talks about confidence and bullying and so on. So hey, you never know, right? You're a sponsor right now for our upcoming event. Maybe one day you could be a sponsor for our new book that's coming out that's going to educate
Hmm.
parents and kids about bullying and autism. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah. I I mean, just working in that field, I know how important it is. It's,
It is, isn't it?
the education that we need to give to the community.
Yeah. Well, Lakshika, that's what I love about you because making money is important. Anyone who says, "Hey, I'm in a, I'm in business to just have fun and not make money," yeah, I can see that. But at the same time, we're in business to make money, and unless it's a nonprofit. But at the same
Mhm.
time, you like helping people as well, so which makes the mortgage industry so much easier for you, isn't it?
Mhm. Yeah, and just to get that mortgage approval and to let the client know that you've been approved for a mortgage, just the satisfaction you get, right? Like, the clients are just, they're very
The clients
happy
are
and they're
thrilled.
very,
Yeah,
yeah, it's because buying a home is the biggest investment that you're going to be making, right?
yeah,
And to get approved and to get, like, a mortgage within the bank and with a good interest rate, like, a lot of people dream of that,
yeah.
right?
How does that make
And
you feel? How does it make that you?
wonderful, awesome. Like, I just get that satisfaction that, I helped someone, and they're ever so grateful. The clients are
Yeah,
ever so grateful. They're just, yeah, it's a really good feeling. It's a really good feeling. I mean,
Well, that's
there are times where, not all my files get approved. I'm going to be honest.
absolutely
There are,
right.
there
There are
are times,
circumstances that you can't control. Maybe
yeah.
they had poor credit of in the past, or
Mhm.
something's happened beyond your control, right? But
Yeah.
whatever you can do to get them the best.
So with CIBC, I wanted to, so we also have a B lender behind us as well. So it's
Okay.
called options. So for those
Okay.
individuals who get a decline,
Yes.
when they don't get approved, we do recommend them to the options side of it, and they're able to help them out. So we do have a B lender within CIBC.
So
So that,
do me a favor for somebody who doesn't know the difference between an A lender and a B lender. Would you be able to maybe 30 or 60 seconds describe what is an A lender and
Mhm.
what is a B lender?
The biggest difference is the interest rate. So
Okay.
with an A lender, you're looking at, the lowest rates possible. With the B lender, we're looking at least 1% higher.
Higher.
Also with the B lender, they have 1% lender fee that you're
Okay.
paying, which you don't pay for the bank.
Okay.
And the other thing with the B lenders is usually a 1-year term or 2-year. They have shorter terms.
Shorter terms. Okay.
Shorter terms.
So what
So with
qualifies you? What
for the
qualifies you to be able to work
yeah.
with to get an A lender or a B lender?
So when we look at approving mortgages, we look at ratios, which we
Okay.
call the GDS and TDS, which I went over in my last presentation with
Yes.
GSAW. So if those ratios are exceeded, so with the bank, you need a 39 GDS,
Okay.
44 TDS. Now with the B lender, that gets stretched out a little bit.
Okay.
So you can go up to TDS 50%. So kind of saying that, if your income is a little bit lower,
Yes.
and to afford a house, it's probably a good idea to go with a B lender. So if your ratios are out of place, then that's when a B lender comes in. Or
Yes.
if your credit is not the greatest,
Yeah.
then a B lender is a better option because they're a little bit more lenient in getting an approval, but
Okay.
they get you back with the higher interest rate.
Yeah. But at least you can still get into home ownership.
Yeah, and definitely, and that's usually what the case is with CIBC is, we put them through the options part of B lending, and then we make a plan for them to come back within a year or two back to an A lender.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yep.
So you got someone who's not able to qualify with an A lender.
Mm-hmm.
You still get them with a B lender if that works
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, we refer them to our options department.
Options.
Yeah.
And then so are you saying the bank or you personally would
Yeah,
make
so
sure that you're in touch with that client?
it all falls within CIBC. So
Okay.
I would be the one that refers them to the options side of the department, and I would make
Okay.
the connection, and then
Yep.
they would take over the application that was submitted, and they work
Yep.
through it. But at the
So
same
let's say a
time,
couple years down the road. Say a couple years down the road.
Yep.
Does the bank just automatically look at, okay, how can we get them into a position where they can
So that's kind
qualify
of
for A, or is that?
at the mortgage advisor side of things. So I know that whoever I refer to, I make sure I follow up with them,
That's
within
amazing.
6 months or within a year to make sure, what can we do to get you back on the A side?
Yeah. So that's what I love, and that's what I wanted the folks to hear, is that you, from your professionalism, you're also going to make sure 6 months down the road or a year down the road that client, you're still paying attention to that client and say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on?
Yep.
Have we
Yep.
improved it enough where maybe your credit score is improved or something's improved? Let's get you back to a point where one day
That
you
you're
can
back.
qualify for
Yeah.
better
So
finance.
so the mortgage relationship doesn't end with just, that one deal. So even if it's someone who's in the B side and we're trying to bring them back, but even someone who qualifies and, gets their mortgage approved for the A side, I still follow up with my clients just to see, if
Yes.
there's anything that we need to do on our end. Has equity built up in your house? Do you want to refinance it? Do you want to take that money and invest it? Or, there's always that follow up, and that's the most important in any business, I think, in terms of like customer service is, a transaction doesn't just end there,
I
right?
love it. I love it.
It follows. It's the follow up, and I want to be that mortgage advisor that, you buy your first home and 3 years down the line, you're buying another home. And I still want to be your mortgage advisor.
I
So
love that.
I want to
Yes.
be the mortgage advisor for you, for your kids, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a
amazing. So
long-term relationship.
you don't just see that mortgage as just a transaction, like, hey, it's
Yeah.
done, I've got my money, I'm gone.
Yeah, no, it's a
Amazing.
lifelong thing. I know you don't get mortgages a lot, like, it's not like you get something on a daily basis, but I want to be the mortgage advisor for your whole family.
Yeah,
So,
that's
you
amazing.
know,
Okay.
referrals is what we grow on, to be honest.
Yeah,
Mortgage advisors referrals are like the best
referrals.
gift that a
Yeah,
client could give. Yeah.
awesome. Awesome. So I want to switch gears for a minute. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. For anyone who's watching, this is our special guest. Lakshika is also a sponsor at our upcoming event. It's a live in-person event, and love live in-person events. We've been shut out of that because of the pandemic. So on November 24th, we have an event. We have a number of speakers. We have, so if you're interested in creating wealth, we have Naru, who is an incredible financial advisor, right? So if you want to learn how to make your money work for you versus working for money, come and meet Naru. She's also the moderator. You have Roy Cleese, who's going to be on a panel with Lakshika. And Roy is the author of an international best-selling book called The Accidental Real Estate Millionaire. So you'll get a chance to come and meet Roy and learn from Roy. Like, ask him questions. Like, if you're watching right now, how would you like to meet an individual who was, he didn't go bankrupt, but he was pretty down and out and accidentally made millions as a real estate investor and as a real estate agent. So you're going to come and meet somebody like Roy Cleese as well. Lakshika, why did you decide to be a sponsor?
So I came to your last event, and that was my very first event that I came to last month. Was it? Yes, it was last month. And I was very surprised, like the turnout, like there was so many people there and so many interesting people to, get to know. So it's not
Yes.
like when I came there, it wasn't just to sell my business, but just to network, right?
Yes.
What did they say? Your net worth is your net. No.
Your network determines your net worth, right? Yeah,
Yes.
your network determines your net worth. Yes.
And I found that for Landed for Success when I attended it, and especially during like the panel and all the guest speakers that were there. I loved the way they answered all the questions about leadership. I was very odd. It's very odd. So I was talking to Jay. So Jay, as you said, your partner, in terms of, Jay, how can I build my network? So
Yes.
he was like, why don't you, come attend the event and be a panel speaker? And I was like, no, I can't be a panel speaker because I'm very not the best at public speaking. But and that's how I kind of decided that, I'll sponsor the event and I'll be a panel speaker. But this actually made me break out of my shell. And I
Wow.
want to thank you, Gordon, and
Interesting.
thank you, Jay, for that. And also Niru, if you're hearing this.
Yes.
So I guess if I never sponsored the event, I would have never thought of to sit in a panel. So
Wow.
it kind of went hand in hand. So yeah, that's kind of how I decided that I will be the sponsor. And here I am now in front of millions of people, Facebook Live.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like, there's over 19,000 watching, or not necessarily watch, but there's 19,000 plus just in this Facebook group alone. And then it'll be shared like in other Facebook groups. It's now shared in Innovative Living seminars and workshop. And I'm sure Jay, the Landed for Success team is going to probably share this on Instagram and LinkedIn. And how does that make you feel? It's almost like you have now become an instant celebrity.
I know. I do. I do. Like I said, I only have about a year and a bit of mortgage experience, but just to get out there and get my name out there, this is what I needed. This is what I needed. And thank you for Landed for Success for giving me that opportunity.
Oh, you're very welcome. And, for the folks who are going to be there, like you mentioned, last time we had 83. This time we're looking at about 100. And obviously, whatever the government policies are and the venues policies, we still want to make sure that whatever social distancing rules, we're going to try to, follow that as close as we can. So people still need to be, I guess, double vaccinated and prove to be there in social distancing. But, your sponsorship allows us to continue to allow entrepreneurs, right, to come to this event for free. Because normally, there's the cost of the venue, there's cost for the food and so on. But I want to thank you for that, because we really believe that entrepreneurship, it's really tough. Right?
Oh, my
It's
pleasure,
tough.
Gordon.
Yeah. And you're giving people an opportunity to come together to be inspired, motivated, and meet and network. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, actually. So thank you.
Thank you. So now, before we wrap up, folks, come on. If you want to meet Lakshika, DM us, message us in the post. You'll be able to find her in our social media posts. If you can't get a hold of her, feel free to reach out to our team at Atlanta for Success, and we're more than happy to connect you with her. But even better than that, come and meet her in person. All right, come and meet her in person on November the 24th. So before we wrap up here, I've got a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you okay with that? Let's see if we can if the folks can get to know you a little bit more here.
Yep.
Lakshika, what is your first question? What is your favorite color?
What is my favorite color? I don't know. Red.
Red? Okay.
Yeah.
CIBC, there you go.
Oh, you know what?
Red.
I didn't even think of that.
Do you have a favorite ice cream?
Vanilla.
Vanilla? Okay.
Yeah.
Vanilla ice cream. Okay. And the last question is, if you could sprinkle some fairy dust right now, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and just do one thing. This is a tough one. One thing for you, for Lakshika, not somebody else.
Okay.
Because you coming from the social worker background, you have such a big servant's heart. You're always thinking, how can I help somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help somebody else? How can I help my client with their mortgage and so on? You're always thinking about helping somebody else. I want you to think about if you could throw some fairy dust right now and make one wish, right, and do one thing just for you right now, what would you do? Not somebody else. See how tough it is? Okay.
So my life goal at this moment right now is to become a top producer at CIBC. So if I can sprinkle dust and get that, then I think that's what I want. But I do understand. Actually, I posted this on my Instagram. You have to take small steps.
Take small steps, okay.
Small steps. If you take big steps, and you want to jump from being one place to the top, it's not going to work. You got to work your way. So
one step at a time, right?
Exactly.
One step at a time. One step. Yeah, love it.
So yeah, I guess it's just, if I can sprinkle dust, I think it's just to take those small steps, but take successful steps.
Yeah. So become the top producer. You want to become the top producer at CIBC.
That's right.
As a mortgage advisor.
That's right. Yep.
I love that. I mean, it starts with a dream, right? Everything starts with a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read the book Think and Grow Rich?
I have not.
It's an amazing book. I recommend, if you haven't read it, grab a copy of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You can go to a bookstore. You can get it on Amazon. I think they've sold over 200 million copies already.
Okay. Sorry, what is it called?
Yeah.
Think, Grow.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
By Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
Okay. So mindset is very important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. It's like you working with a first-time home buyer, and they need to have certain things, right? Like, have you ever worked with a buyer who may be afraid to buy a home?
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, they're so scared. It's their biggest investment. Yeah. But my job is to take them through those steps. and make them feel comfortable.
And some of it is just mindset for them, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So you becoming a top producer of CIBC, I think the Land for Success community can help you get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Land for Success is, right? And Lester Bailey, you don't know Lester Bailey, but Lester Bailey is a lifetime member. He's a international best-selling author. He's retired police officer. He's protected several U.S. presidents. Can you imagine?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so inside our Land for Success, we're going to be doing probably a 5-part, 5-day Zoom conversation on building your mindset with some amazing lessons from Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you can plug into that, and let's see if we can help you become that type of top.
Yeah,
producer.
no, I would definitely be interested. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
No, I just hope everybody who is attending this, we hope to see you on the 24th. Come join us, network, and build your net worth.
Yeah, build your net. Yeah, your network is your net worth. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Yeah.
And folks that are watching, thank you so much. And until the next time, everyone, have an amazing day.